Welcome back to the Green Workbench. Today we're building a bike rack out of 2x4s. My garage is also my workshop, and I needed a place where I can store and organize the bikes in the garage to keep them out of the way. So I'm actually building it on the back end of my workbench. So the first step is to figure out how tall your back brace is going to be. We'll talk about how to do that in just a minute. Once you have that figured out, drill a pilot hole in your 2x4, drive in a screw, take a level, make sure your 2x4 is level, drill a pilot hole and a screw on your opposite side against the other leg, drive that in, drive a second screw on each leg so it's secure, and now your brace is complete and you're ready to begin building. Now there is no other piece against that workbench, so you have that horizontal brace and then your bottom brace, and that's all. Now you can put this up against a wall or against anything where you can screw in that back brace. It does not have to be against a workbench. Okay, first thing you need to do is figure out your angles and the length of the boards you're going to use. I chose a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Because I didn't have a lot of room, so I needed my bike rack to not be that wide. And again, reaching back to your math class, use the Pythagorean theorem: a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and that way you can figure out the length of c from tip to tip on your angles. Set up your saw 30 degrees and 60 degrees to make your cuts. Or if you have the room, you can go at a wider angle, say 45s. Now you can see on a big bike, with the 30, 60, 90, your bike tire is going to rest on top of the 2x4, and the boards don't go all the way to the fork. Whereas if you had maybe a 45, it would come out further, allow your tire to drop on the other side of the 2x4 and bring the wood all the way to the fork. Now this only affects the bigger tires, but it's a trade-off for me. It still stays secure, but provides me an extra few inches of room in my garage. If you have multiple bikes of different sizes, your tires are going to be different, so you may want to customize it where the distance between your rails are a different distance. Mine range from 2 inches to about 2 3/8, where 2 1/4 is my average size. But if you get it so it's just tight enough where you can easily slide the tire in, but it doesn't have a lot of give, it will help it stay upright without a problem. And mine are 9 inches between each rail, and you could probably do 8, but I wanted to make sure there was enough room to move around, get in and out, and not be bumping tires and brake lines. Okay, we have all our measurements figured out, so now it's time to start making the cuts. So I'm going to set up my compound miter saw to make my 60-degree cut. And you don't need fancy tools. I just have a small compound miter and then a tabletop table saw, 10-inch, that I use to make the 30-degree cut. So on the table saw, marked my angle with a pencil. I'm going to make my 30-degree cut. Let's make that red so you can see it. 30-degree cut, and then I just use a freehand, drove it right through the table saw. It doesn't need to be exact. There's no reason why you can't do it freehand. It's just a bike rack for the garage. So that worked fine. I've got my first piece cut and is ready to attach to the to the brace that I've already put onto the workbench. Okay, so you're going to use a countersink to drill your pilot hole. First one you'll do is at the top, against that brace that's already attached to the workbench. Drill the pilot hole with the countersink, drive in your screw. Now you're going to go down to the base and do the same thing. Drill your countersink with the pilot hole down at an angle, so you're going into this baseboard. Now, this is the first time the baseboard is actually being attached to anything. It's not attached to the floor, it's only attached to the rails of the bike rack. So now you've set that first piece going from your horizontal brace on the workbench or the wall down to the floor piece. Next, cut your next rail piece. Measure the width, and it depends on the width of the tires on your bike, and attach that piece in. Now your first rack is completed. You're going to measure over 9 inches is what I did, and do it all again. Here we are looking down at our first 2 rails. Your edge rail right on the edge, your second rail, you're 9 inches over, and start of the third rail. Continue doing that until you have as many rails as you need. And for 6 rails, I needed about 5 2x4s, 8-foot long 2x4s. It depends on how many bikes you have and how long your bike rack is going to be. So that's it for an easy afternoon project. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more great ideas and how-to videos, and thank you for watching.